Make a few comments. I'm going to ask Senator Shaheen if he would come forward. I know he's pressed for time. Senator, still here, Senator?
Thank you, Nick, and I want to thank the Realtors for being here and spearheading this effort to try to change the system that we currently have in South Carolina. There have been a handful of folks in the General Assembly over the last 5 or 6 years who have really pushed for comprehensive tax reform, and this is probably the most optimistic I've been that we will actually achieve it this year. So I'm very excited and appreciate your help. I want to focus on really one concept, and that is fairness and equality in our tax system. The idea that similar property should be taxed similarly. And unfortunately what has occurred is that we've moved, instead of closer to that concept, we've moved away from that concept. Two specifics I'll focus on that Nick also mentioned, but I think we really need to emphasize. One, two houses sitting next to each other with similar values, similar market values, should be taxed similarly. Those market values should be the touchstone on how we tax property. We've moved away from that. It was a mistake, and we need to realize the repercussions that are occurring because of that. The second thing I would say is that we need to tax classes of property more similarly. In other words, we have helped residential property owners, and I fully supported that. But at the same time, many of us have also advocated over the years that we should treat the properties substantially similar, whether they are owner-occupied or whether they are non-owner occupied. So those two ideas we moved away from, and we need to get back to those two ideas and make our tax system more logical. And I really, again, want to thank the Realtors and the other members of the General Assembly who are here moving in that direction. Thank you, Nick.
Thank you, Senator. I'd like to introduce Representative Glenn Hamilton from the upstate. What did I say?
That's all right. That's not the worst thing I've been called.
Sorry, no.
Representative Dan Hamilton from Greenville, and I'm a realtor as well as a new member of the General Assembly. And I just, the points have been well made by Nick. I'd like to thank Nick and Cashin and on behalf of the thousands of realtors across the state to say that I'm going to be working with my fellow members of the General Assembly to fix the point of sale issue sooner rather than later. We can't wait. We need to get our economy back on sure footing, and real estate is the quickest way to do that, to make real estate back in the forefront, because it not only affects people that own real estate, but it affects small mom and pop businesses and people who shop at those businesses. When their taxes go up, if you take the example of what's called a triple net lease, if a small business is in a strip center or a small office and that the taxes go up because the property is sold, it's going to be an automatic increase in their taxes. It's going to hurt them. They're going to have to raise their prices. In our economy, we just can't afford to have that continue. So I'm going to be working to make our state more business friendly, more property friendly, and on behalf of my fellow realtors across the state and the fellow members of the General Assembly, both Democrat and Republican, this is a bipartisan issue, and it's an issue that we need to fix in this session, and we'll be pushing to do that. And I want to thank you guys, and I'll turn it back over to Nick.
I'd like to introduce Representative Alan Clemens from Horry County.
Thank you, Nick. I was asked yesterday on the elevator by someone I just met whether I had a real job outside the General Assembly, and I had to think about it for just a second. And I responded, I used to close real estate transactions as an attorney. And that's a sad commentary on the state of our economy in South Carolina. I recognized an issue with point of sale early on, right after point of sale Act 388 became law. I was asked to participate in closing a transaction where a commercial property was being purchased in Myrtle Beach. This out-of-state group was buying a very nice property, and they knew what the taxes had been and had made an offer and were in their due diligence period. During due diligence, they went to the tax assessor and discovered that the taxes after the transaction closed, based upon the new sales price, was going to increase by $600,000. That group decided that they would be better off not pursuing that transaction in South Carolina, and they chose to pursue a transaction in our sister state, Georgia, on a similar piece of property. Standing behind me are a group of men and women that have dedicated their public lives toward making South Carolina the best place to come to work and to do business. Currently, ladies and gentlemen, we are not moving towards that goal. We're in a difficult economy. We want to do everything that we can to encourage investment in the state of South Carolina. And this omnibus movement will take us in that direction. Thank you so much, Nick. I appreciate the opportunity to address you.
Thank you, Alan. Representative Limehouse from Charleston. Chip.
Thank you, Nick. And Alan just touched on what I wanted to say, but this is not all about the realtors. This is about appraisers. This is about closing attorneys. This is about surveyors. This is about bankers who give loans. And right now, the way we have the law written, we are severely impacting real estate in a negative way in South Carolina. So it is critical that in this General Assembly, we get this ironed out and we put people back to work, because this, in a pro-business state like South Carolina, it makes no sense whatsoever to have a law that's holding us back, and with investment money going to other states right now. So when we go into this new recovery, which we're going to go into a recovery, we've got to have this particular law straightened out, and we will. Thank you very much.
With that, I think we're going to open the floor up for any questions that anyone may have, and or unless there's anyone else who wanted to make any additional comments. Well, we'll be available here for questions afterwards if any of you need to see us. I'm going to let our President, Dick Berger, close us out.
Certainly, I'd like to thank everybody for devoting their time this morning. We will stay around for any questions. And again, thank you for your time, and thank you to the members of the House and Senate that have participated and been here today in such a supportive way of our organization. Thank you very much.